Hi, this is Allison and Ashley here at B Yoga in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're going to demonstrate Eka Pada Koundinyasana I, also known as the pose dedicated to the sage Koundinya, or revolved flying splits. It's sort of, I've heard people call it fallen angel too. It's sort of a modification or a prep for fallen angel. It's a really fun, powerful pose, arm balance, deep twist, lots of core strength required, lots of chest opening and shoulders drawing back. One of my favorite poses, but Ashley's going to do all the demoing today. So there's a couple ways to get into Eka Pada Koundinyasana. And one of the easiest ways, I think, maybe the one that's most accessible for a lot of our students is from Parsvabhakasana, from side crow. So let's set up for that. Ashley, you can come into a squat into Malasana, or come into it from chair, whichever you prefer. So Ashley's going to come into the pose, into the prep for the pose, lengthening as she goes, working her elbow across. Good. And then she places her hands on the mat, shoulders distance apart, wrist creases parallel with the side of the mat here, fingers spread, just like she would for table or down dog, plank and chaturanga, cobra, all of these poses that we practice regularly where the hands are on the floor. Okay. So in any twist, length is extremely important to keep our spine safe, and in arm balances, length also helps us take our heart forward into the pose. So as she starts to lean into the pose, she engages her core, engages her shoulder blades on the back, lifts her head as she takes her heart forward, and the center of gravity lifts or shifts from her pelvis towards her head and heart, taking the focal point into the heart as she lifts her feet. Good, and her feet just floated up there. She didn't even really need to lift them. Then to come from Parsvabhakasana into Eka Pada Koundinyasana, she separates her feet, stretching out through her sitting bones and out through her heels at the same time. Awesome. Work a little deeper, taking her heart into it, lifting her shoulders, kicking out through the feet. Beautiful. And then come on back to the center. Thanks, Ashley. So another way to get into this pose is to come into it from a low lunge. So set up in a low lunge with your back knee on the floor.
I'm going to do it the other way.
The other side. Okay. And again, since we're coming into a twist, we'll want to find as much length as possible. So one of the things I've been enjoying playing with teaching this pose is to help students put one hand here, find as much length as they can. Yeah, now push down into your thigh, lift your waist, and work your left elbow across. Yeah. Good. And she can work her elbow, even her armpit towards the outer knee. Then take your hands here into like an air cobra or an air chaturanga shape. Good. And this is helpful because that's the way our hands are going to be set on the floor in just a moment. Then take your hands to the floor, setting them up again, shoulders distance apart, and go ahead and lift your back knee. Good. Now notice here that the right leg is on the back of the left arm, but the right arm is free. The right hip is not on the back of the right arm. And we're gonna come to this variation first. Good. Lift your back knee, take your waist forward, your abs lengthening, your head and heart moving away from the hips. Good. As you stretch out through your sitting bones and out through your inner feet and heels. Beautiful, Ashley. Okay. Eka Pada Koundinyasana I. And then come on out. So I did learn this pose as well as side crow and a couple of other arm balances with both elbows on the outer leg. And it is kind of a good way to learn, I think. It helps students find that shelf and that shift of balance from center of gravity or focal point in the pelvis to focal point in the heart. However, I don't feel like it's as safe for the shoulders and neck, and you may experience this too when you're practicing it, when both elbows are underneath the leg or supporting the leg. There's less core activation, and one of the shoulders tends to pull forward and in, and even the elbow will tend to squeeze in by the ribs, and it creates a lot of tension up by the upper traps and neck, as well as a disengagement at the shoulder blade. I'm imagining it's not very good for the rotator cuff muscles. So if your students are doing this, if they're placing both elbows underneath their thigh, encourage them to work towards having that elbow be free. Will you show this? You might, I won't keep you in it long. show this coming into it any way that you feel comfortable. Yeah, so this happens a lot, and I see teachers offer this modification a lot, but look at the difference here. Look at the difference between her right shoulder and her left. See how the left shoulder is curled forward, the shoulder blade's disengaged. These muscles are going to be really tight, and she hasn't even put weight on it yet. So now come up into the pose. And it's not necessarily wrong, but it's not nearly as healthy. Can you float up off of it? Yeah. Now she can lift the shoulder blades and engage more fully and open more broadly across the chest. The other way that I think is helpful to learn this pose is to go ahead and take your head to the floor. Yeah. And so here what happens when we take the head all the way down, obviously the hips lift higher, and it's a helpful place for students to find that shift forward without being afraid of falling on their head. Then, as you build strength, lift your head, lift your shoulders, just as you would coming up into cobra pose. Head and shoulders peeling back to open up the heart. Yeah, nice, Ashley. Whew, good job. Now keep your hands just like that. Give you 10. Eka Pada Koundinyasana I. Enjoy. Thank you.